most creators post on Instagram every day, but when it comes to brand deals, they're stuck. No responses, no partnerships, no money, nothing. But some creators are making it work. My guest today, Chotkevys, has used Instagram to build connections, secure real deals, and has helped others do the same. By the end of this conversation, you're going to know how to position yourself on Instagram so brands will want to work with you. We're going to break down how to set up your profile the right way, the type of content that attracts brands, and the outreach strategies that turn into paid partnerships. Let's dive in. A lot of creators and entrepreneurs listening right now are posting daily on Instagram, but are not seeing any leads come in. What should they do to turn things around?
I think you got to be genuine. You got to be authentic. And sometimes you got to go a little bit against the grain. And so for me and my business, right, like we build mansions that take care of grandmas, right? It's essentially assisted living, but I don't call it assisted living, right? I call them mansions because it's attention getting, it's eye opening, it's a little bit against the grain. And I think you got to stand out. But you got to be genuinely yourself on these things.
So that's a key thing that I've got from a lot of creators. They've talked about being authentic, being your genuine self. But some people might not be comfortable with doing that, especially sharing on the internet. So I just want to ask you, how was your journey been in terms of being authentically you?
I think it starts for pretty much everyone so awkward and so uncomfortable, and you think everyone's going to judge you and like give you all sorts of hate. And no one's really paying attention to you anyways, right? Like they have other people they're following. If you're brand new, man, just go out there and screw it up. No one's going to really watch or care except for maybe your mom or your brother. So I think of it in this way. And we use social media, specifically Instagram and some other things, to raise money, to put together some big deals to build assisted livings. And man, I always tell our teams and our partners, this is your job. Like you have to do this. There are parts of your job that you love and parts of your job you don't love. But if you're going to do this deal, you just got to swallow up your pride. You got to get uncomfortable. And so we talk through, here's your weekly KPIs, right? Posting 3 times a week, and here's how you post and what you do. Some people love it and they just go right after it and they do amazing on it. And probably half of people just feel uncomfortable. And I was in that same boat. I didn't want to do it. It was like pulling teeth, and it kind of still is for me. Even though I have, my own podcast and a lot of different things go on, it's still just not my personality type. And that's okay. Like sometimes you just got to know this is what has to get done for my business. And if my goals are worth it, then I'm going to do it.
Something that you touched on that I think is really key is just, you just have to do it. But I think more importantly, you gotta have to like doing what you're doing. So I'll tell a quick story. But one thing that I was gonna do is I was gonna pivot my business model from working with creators to working with real estate agents. And I paid for this program, and they want me to do content and stuff. And I just remember waking up every single day being like, "Fuck, I gotta make content for real estate agents." Like, I don't want to do that. And it was so hard. Like you said, it was like pulling teeth, right? But once I found a lane and being like, I like talking to creatives, I like talking to creators, like it's just second nature. So I think the key, as well as being authentic, is pick something that you like. Because when you like it, it's going to be easy for you to turn the camera on and, make the content that you need to make.
Yeah, I absolutely, for sure. Totally agree. But I would add to that, like, even when you like something, there's small aspects of it that you don't like, right? Like if you're a business owner, you may love what you do, but you also have to run payroll and you also have to do the books, and you may hate that, right? And it might be a slightly different analogy, but there's going to be parts of everything you do, even in content creation, right? Whether it's, the editing or the post or anything like that, you don't like that part. Just swallow it up, man. Get over that part.
Definitely. So can you talk about an opportunity that you got, a business deal or opportunity that you got through your Instagram that you wouldn't otherwise have gotten had you not had that online brand?
Yeah, of course. So there's our business is we build assisted livings, very high-end, beautiful assisted livings, and we take care of people through the end of life. So myself, my wife, we do that ourselves, but then we have something similar to, a partnership model where we go and we copy and paste this around the country. And so we show people with no experience in this at all how to go and raise millions of dollars in order to do these deals. And so it'll be people who may be real estate people or business people. They may be nurses or doctors. It's just a wide variety of people who honestly, the biggest theme is they don't like and they're not comfortable with social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get on social media and raise millions of dollars, right? Most of it from the bank, but sometimes 500,000 or $1 million+ from friends and family, people in your network, using social media. And so I think that's a really, really important way to do this is you go and you get out there and we can talk through the steps and things next, but we've found many, many teams that are able to go without experience, right? They've never built an assisted living before. They've never done this kind of deal before, but they can leverage steps and structures in order to, people who already know, like, and trust them, right? You have to be people of integrity and all those kind of things already, and then they'll invest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you touched on a big key, which is trust. And I think that's why a lot of entrepreneurs are now hopping onto the content game, because they want to build that trust by giving away free content, right? And you have something that you call the no secrets. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Like, why do you like to give away all your content for free as opposed to putting it on behind a paywall?
Yeah, man, because of what we do, the depth of what we do is so big and so massive that I'll put so much stuff out there, and people think this is everything, but they don't know, like, this is probably like 25% of it, right? There's so much that we do. So my content is based really on a business opportunity, and
Mm-hmm.
the business opportunity is taking care of people at end of life. You have this big baby boomer generation that's coming. They have no great options out there, right? It's just a big, smelly facility. No one wants to go to those places. Let me show you, another opportunity that will provide the best care in, like, this beautiful, gorgeous mansion. And that's not a small thing, right? We're building these for, $3-4 million a piece. And it's not easy to build it. It's not easy to get the loan for it. It's not easy to manage it or market to it or fill it up or all of those kind of things, right? So I can go and give a wide overview of lots of different content and education. And man, like, the more people know, the more they realize they don't know enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. And so from that perspective, people will have enough to get excited to get into it, and then know, like, man, you know what? This is a really big deal, and I really shouldn't do this on my own and screw it up. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I know just enough to be dangerous to myself, and so I got to reach out for more help.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing you say is you put it out for free because you want to get people more interested, so that way they come to you for more, as opposed to
Absolutely.
trying to lower the barrier of entry by putting it out free as opposed to paid, basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. We put out so much free content. I mean, I got a bunch of courses. I have hundreds of hours of content out there,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, when you come at it from that perspective, it's just like an abundance mindset of, like, hey, here's everything, right? Go ahead and do it. But it's all it's in YouTube, it's on Instagram, it's all scattered, right? Like, I can give you the playbook, it's all out there cut in pieces, right? But, like, it's not in a chronological order. Excuse me, I butchered that word.
All good.
Right? So, like, even though everything is out there and it's kind of all mixed up because it's on, like, different YouTube videos and such.
Mm-hmm.
The other important thing is, I think people come from the perspective of, man, if all of this is free, what is it like to work with him, right? Like, what does it look like to do
Exactly.
this?
Mm-hmm.
And my competition, the people who also teach this kind of stuff, man, like, the amount of content and education that I put out for free is more than their, like, $30,000-$50,000 stuff that they do.
If this breakdown is clicking for you, please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next strategy. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the show. Mm-hmm. For sure. So I want to ask you, before you got on Instagram, before you started making content to help with your lead flow, what were you doing before?
What podcast was the thing that probably got me started and doing the most. It went from podcast to YouTube, and then really to Instagram. I would say our bread and butter is probably YouTube, but prior to that, it was just the podcast stuff.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever bring the podcast to YouTube, like combine the two?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's on there most. But I think initially the first year or two, people were just listening to the audio version, on their phone or whatever. And now maybe it's a generational thing or just time, but a lot more people are now watching the podcast on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that the rise of podcasting on YouTube has been really big. That's why I always tell people, if there's only one platform for you to build on YouTube. the discoverability, the analytics on YouTube compared to any other social media is literally just out of this world. And longer form content allows you to build that depth, as opposed to if you're, posting TikToks or Instagram reels and stuff like that, it doesn't give you that much connection with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So you talk about having a content engine. What does that look like behind the scenes for you?
Well, so I guess I can answer that in a couple different ways. Do you want me to talk about myself personally, or you want me to talk about the structure that we use to present to our partners to raise money?
What you present to your partners to help raise money. Let's go that route.
So a lot of these people, as I said, they have some type of 9-to-5 job, right? Their real goal is financial freedom. How do I come up with a business opportunity? I can work hard for a few years and then I can make myself passive in that and have a big exit play. And so from so many different places across the country and different professional aspects, no one has like this, here's my one thing, right? And I can use that. They're really leveraging my experience and my success. And so what we do is we come in, we teach everybody all the different things. We provide a copy and paste system for raising money, building the mansion, marketing, taking care of your team, all those kind of things. It's very plug and play. And so they're able to come in and say, hey, you know what? They're posting on social media, and they're really, the message is, I have this kind of experience over here. I'm a nurse and I've done that. Or I'm a business person. I've ran a team. I've done all these other things, but I have not done assisted living. But Brett and his team, we are essentially filling in the gap of their experience. And it doesn't take over for the likability or the integrity or the trust that they have with their existing relationships, friends, family, and 1-2 people removed. But where there's holes in their resume, I'm able to come in and fill that gap. Mm-hmm. So when I'm teaching people and showing them, a content calendar for this, it really starts like day one with commitment. And it'll start with like your why, right? Like, let's just say I'm this person and I want to open my own assisted living, and it'll be like, hey, here's my story. Here's my why. Like, I had this horrible experience with my grandma. My mother is now in her 80s and she's getting older, and I want a place for her, right? Like, that's my why. I want to quit my job. I want to stop working for the man. I want to build something great and take care of my own mom and a bunch of other people, right? And we'll come out with really that kind of the starting place. But then there's like probably 3, 6, 12 months of actionable steps that are part of the journey. And I like using this analogy of like Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings, right? Like, he's going to go on this crazy long epic quest to, this mountain with Mordor and like throw the ring into the fire and everything, right? But he's a hobbit, right? He's like the underdog. He's the like most unlikely person that you would want to do this big old, journey, right? He's got like a dwarf with an axe with him. He's got a wizard. He's got an elf with a bow and arrow, like all these BA people, but it's the underdog character. And I tell people, man, you don't have to be the expert. Just be like Frodo Baggins. You're on this long epic journey and you're just going to follow the steps and you're going to post your journey along the way, right? So we'll start with, hey, I'm making this commitment. Here's my vision. I want to do something, and lead with heart, right? Like, be authentic to yourself there. I want to make a difference. I want to take care of my own family. I want to take care of my own mother, right? But now it starts after that, like, hey, now I'm doing market research. I'm going in, I'm talking to the city. Here's a photo of me at planning and zoning, and I'm learning what kind of opportunities I can do in the city. Here's me in front of the fire engine, and I'm meeting with the fire marshal, and I'm going to talk through, what kind of fire hydrants and all the other things, fire sprinklers do I need for this building? Because there's a big construction curve here, right? Then it's like, hey, I'm going and looking at multiple pieces of land, and here's me, live streaming. I'm on this piece of land, and I have this vision to build this mansion over here, and I can do this over here, and it's going to be gorgeous, and I can make a massive difference, and I'm going to help a bunch of people, right? And it's just like along the way, just like posting your journey. And then it's, it's some kind of a call to action, like, hey, I'm building this mansion. I'm looking for investor partners. If you're interested in something like that, tag me, reach out, those kind of things. But I tell people that they need to pretty much like backlog the journey. No one's gonna, on post number 1, no one's gonna reach out to them and say, man, I want to invest. I got 500 grand, let me in, right? Like, yeah. They need to see 3, 4, 5 months of like all the steps, all the credibility, and kind of leading up to that.
Yeah, I like that. So you're setting up your clients for success and not having them just post hey, look at me, I'm an expert. It's like, no, like this is me throughout my entire journey. I'm documented it, I'm committed. And when investors see that and they see somebody who's been consistently posting content, consistently
Mhm.
improving on the process, they buy into the journey. They buy
Yeah.
into the dream. So I like that.
hmm Yeah. I mean, it starts with them, right? Like they have to be somebody who the potential investor believes in, right? They have to be somebody with great experience, with great, integrity. And they're going to have holes in their resume, right? They've never built this. That's a scary thing. They've never operated this. But that's where I can come in and my team and say, hey, we are that experience. We are filling in the gaps there and allow people to, within a few months, raise $1 million from
Hmm.
friends and family to be able to do this massive deal.
Hmm. So my question to you is, this is kind of piggybacking off of a question I asked you earlier about you getting leads. You say you started with a podcast and transitioned to YouTube. What
Mhm.
made you decide to go the content heavy route as opposed to, I don't know, maybe like email marketing or paid ads? Like, why did you go from like straight to free content?
I think I could have gone either way, and
Hmm.
I didn't really know how to do paid ads.
Hmm.
I do send out a bunch of emails and stuff like that, but I think that I did what worked, and then I doubled down on that, and then it
Yeah.
worked more, and then I continued to double down on it. And so there's plenty of things that I've tried that it's like, I'm not really getting results from that, right? I've done a bunch of workshops that like, it doesn't really work out too much. I've done some live events that haven't worked, and I've shayed away from that. I think that people should explore different things, and when you find something that works, but you also find something you like doing, it fits you and it fits your time schedule and all those kind of things. Like I'm sitting here in my studio now, and it's no big deal for me. I'm filming a workshop later tonight, doing all these different things. Like this is within what I'm comfortable doing. So that I'm able to double down on and continue to do that. And it continues to build and get more and more results.
Hmm. And then when you first started producing your podcast, how long did it take for you to start seeing any tangible results from that?
It started slow, but slow and steady. Like,
Hmm.
man, I mean, I probably the first, I don't know, 10 to 20 was poor, right? Like maybe not
Yeah.
horrible, but like poor. By like
Yeah.
50 and stuff, you really start to become yourself on there and you can be authentic and genuine. But I stood out pretty quickly. I didn't get a lot of eyes, but I stood out pretty quickly because of what I do. And I would actually throw rocks at a lot of the competition and the other models, right?
Hmm.
Like instead of calling them, facilities, I intentionally call them big smelly facilities, right? Like don't go
Hmm.
to that big smelly facility over there, right? Like it's attention getting and I'm throwing rocks at it. The other alternative, you have big facilities, right? On the other side, you have like these small little mom and pop houses. So I'll throw rocks at that side too, and I'll call those like the dinky little RALs. Like, don't do this big, ugly, terrible deal over here. Don't do these crappy little small mom and pop deal over here. Like, let me show you how to do this. And I mean that's honestly what I believe. And so I'm able to come out, be slightly edgy, but be authentic to myself and talk about all these kind of things with expertise behind it. And then so I was able to really stand out from whoever else is in the space.
Hmm. Yeah, and the reason why I ask you that question is because a lot of people who get in the content game want to see a ROI immediately, right?
Mm,
I was actually doing some market research about when I decided to pivot my content to focus on content creators, and one of the biggest things that people talked about, especially with podcasting, is that they said that damn, like it takes a long time before you see
does.
even a first dollar, let alone a return on your investment. But that's just what you're gonna have to do because it's gonna compound over years. And I've been doing my podcast for about a year and a half, and I'm seeing some growth. It's like significantly better than, like, this is like episode like 75, 76, something like that. Significantly
Yeah.
better than than episode one, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I think if you're going to commit to do podcasts, you have to at least commit to do 50 episodes. I'd say a strong argument you could be said for 100, but a
100.
minimum 50 episodes because you're probably going to choke the first 50 anyways. Like around that
Hmm.
time, you'll start getting better and people will start listening a little bit more. And it's a snowball, but that snowball starts like the size of a marble.
And then recently I just got a podcast coach to help me, and once like I started going through the curriculum, I realized like how bad I was at the start and all the
Yeah.
things I needed to do. So my question to you is, was there anybody that helped you along the way shape your content and help you refine your podcast or your Instagram?
I do have a team. When I first started, it was just me, and I had some VAs that were editing my stuff, right? And
Mhm.
but now I do have a team of 4 marketing people that help me with this kind of stuff, and so it's amazing what is able to happen now. But initially, I mean, I was embarrassed. Like, it was bad, and it just it is what it is, right? Like, you had no budget, we weren't making any money, but I had this dream and this vision to do this, and I came at it from this perspective that either way, like, my whole goal when I film something is to genuinely help the people on the other side. And if I come from that perspective, I'm never thinking about, oh, am I going to make any money or what's the ROI? If I can help people and I can consistently do that at least 50 times, I know by the end of it, I'll reap the reward of that.
Hmm. And so, what was there any moment where you realized, because you started on, the podcast and YouTube, what was the moment that made you realize that you needed to start building your brand on Instagram?
I think it was just kind of a one step at a time, right? Like, to give you context, I'm not on TikTok now, but that is my next step. And so I focused on the things that were successful, and then I doubled down. And then as I solidified myself there and was able to have more bandwidth, then I moved on from podcast to YouTube and have focused on that for the last couple of years. And then I've been on Instagram, but it wasn't a priority. And then it became, okay, now let me prioritize this, right? Let me dig into Instagram. And we still have a long way to go of dialing that in and being great on that. But I think it's just kind of one step at a time. And when I was a one-man show, I didn't have time for that. I couldn't do that and run my businesses, right? And so as you reprioritize and go deeper and build out a team, I think it's just, what's the next step, one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm. So I know the premise of this conversation was mainly about how to build on Instagram, but if you had to go back and choose only one platform starting from scratch, which platform would it be to start your brand?
I think that we have the most success on YouTube, but I would say this, that our niche is very, very tight. And so for me specifically, I first went on my podcast app on Apple, and I put in my keywords, and like only 3 or 4 things came up. And those 3 or 4 shows, no, they weren't even filming anymore. They were like, a couple of them only did 3 or 5 episodes, a couple of them were 50 and they had stopped. And it was like, man, there's a hole in the market for what my niche is. And so I started there. And I'm like, all right, there is no one filming this, being on a podcast there. And I would encourage you to take a look. Like, if you have a tight little niche, then, where is there an opening in the market kind of for that kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that. So so back to the original question, you'd probably still go the route of the podcast.
I'd still do podcast.
Yeah.
But I would simultaneously do it with, also putting that on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Got to be on YouTube, y'all.
Right. And then you're filming long form content. Then just pay someone to cut it for you and make a bunch of shorts and post a bunch of other stuff. I think you'd really just, from a filming perspective, you just film your long form podcast, and then you'd have 2 channels to be able to play with.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. That's pretty much what I do. I post all my content, the same content on Instagram, post on TikTok, YouTube Shorts. That's recently got over on LinkedIn. I'm still trying to utilize that more because I have had a LinkedIn for, I don't know, very long time, since I was in undergrad. So I was like, you know what? I could post the same clips over there. Why not? Like, I got like 800 people over there. Well,
Brett, absolutely. That's good.
Coming to the end of the interview, I just want to give you the final say. Anything you want to leave the people with today?
We touched on this a little bit near the beginning, but I think how important it was for me to learn to be authentically myself. And I don't think, if you're trying to do this and you have a show, a podcast or YouTube or even Instagram, whatever it is, it's not something that's like, oh, let me just flip the switch and now I'm going to decide to be authentically myself. I honestly think it's like this like battle of like a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And I would encourage people to kind of take stock and just push to be more genuinely themselves over and on these kind of things, because people bond with people. If you're fake in any kind of way, like, you're kind of just like, on to the next, right? You're kind of repulsed or you just not really into it. But even if you're weird, man, like, there's so many weird people out there, right? Like, people will be drawn to you when you're authentically yourself. So I think that has been a very big difference for me. And as I continue to think like, should I say that? I don't know. It might be a little too much. Screw that, man. Just be yourself.
Hmm. And another thing too, I just want to add on is that if you aren't yourself and you start building and you start kind of faking the funk, you start building a brand of and a follower of people that follow someone who's not even you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So you might as well just go ahead and be authentically yourself, and whoever jives with you, and whoever doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Brett, thank you so much for coming on the show, dropping so many gems. I greatly appreciate it. Where could the people find you at?
So, a few different places, right? But if you are interested in learning about building mansions and a business opportunity, you can hit our website, assistedlivingmansion.com. You can follow me on YouTube. It's my full name, Brett Chotkevys, or our Instagram, right? The same, my name or Assisted Living Mansion. So I'd check me out on either of those spots.
Absolutely. We're going to put all that in the show notes. Brett, thank you again, once again, for coming on the show. And I hope everybody learned something. Start making that content. Start making some money. Till next time.
All right. Sounds
Peace.
good. Thanks, brother.
If you got just one good idea from this episode, please consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. And if you liked all the insights from this episode and looking for more, click on the video on your screen right now.